Welcome back on board the Starship, and we're talking with Alan Turnbull, who's an expert on UK military bases, or a researcher of UK military bases. And we were talking about before the break, Alan, about this particular image here, where it seems to show a jet aircraft without a runway in the middle of a forest.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
That's been available on various aerial photography imagery for several years now. And lots of people have thought that it may be a kind of fire trainer facility that you see at places like Manchester International Airport and Heathrow. It's very similar in construction to those, but it's not actually. It's in reality, if I told you the county that it's in, it's Herefordshire.
Okay.
And that should start alarm bells ringing. It is indeed an SAS Special Forces facility for the training in counter-terrorism operations, such as hostage rescue.
Right. So how would that thing? Could that thing just take off vertically then? Is it? Not,
I certainly hope not. No.
So how does it got there?
Presumably it was brought in on a very large lorry,
Right.
or in either that or it was probably brought in pieces and assembled on site. Because I think.
So what's the point of having it there if it can't ever take off then? Or?
It's just used for training scenarios, so
Right.
that the SAS troops will practice storming it, for example,
Right. Okay.
and releasing hostages.
Right.
And there's some.
As they do. Yeah.
Yes. Well.
Yes. Okay. We're moving on. We'll look at some more images. That's a pretty uninteresting image. Alan, tell us the significance of this one.
Yeah. The Street View camera people were out on their travels in.
This is Google mapping you're talking about, where you can actually not just look from the Earth. You can go down and actually wander around the streets.
And of course, only a matter of a month or so ago, it went live for most of the UK, which was a major step forward. This image apparently shows just a couple of boring old buildings with a barbed wire fence. But if you look closely at the sign on the fence, it says something like, "This is a prohibited place within the meaning of the Official Secrets Act.
Right.
No photography.
Yeah.
No loitering. No sketching, drawing."
Yeah.
And there we have the Google Street View car going past saying, "Smile, you're on candid camera."
Right. Okay.
And that image has actually been withdrawn from Google.
Okay.
Even though it doesn't actually show anything incriminating. You can't see any.
So what is this facility?
It's actually the Special Boat Service, their depot, their facilities depot in Poole Harbour in Dorset.
Right.
And that whole street, and there are just either side of that image, there are just residential streets, bungalows, holiday homes, and that whole street has been removed from
And
Google
this
Street
next
View.
image?
That's a place called Hanslope Park, which sounds like a nice country retreat, and indeed that's how it started off, as a manor house.
Right.
It's steeped in history. It dates back to the early days of MI6, and it's actually formally known as Her Majesty's Government Communications Centre.
Okay.
And it's where, I suppose you could say at a stretch, it's where James Bond gadgets are manufactured.
All right. Yeah.
But,
Pay attention, 007. All that.
In that sort of sense, it's stretching a point, but certainly it's unique in that the facilities on site allow for manufacture of PCBs,
Yes.
other devices, all through to major end user.
Okay.
And who those end users are is up
Little
to
gas
speculation.
canisters that allow you to breathe underwater for 3 minutes.
Or, handy Rolex watches.
Yeah, there's a dart. Yeah. Okay. And this one, GCHQ Edge Hills Test Facility.
Well, that's one of the more recent research exclusives on my website, in that, again, we're dealing with public domain information there, but that is in the middle of the Forest of Dean, a very famous tourist destination in Gloucestershire. It's actually a test range.
So it looks like a huge golf ball on top of a Meccano tower.
Yeah, it's actually two towers, north and south, situated so many metres apart in the middle of a clearing. They've actually got the Forestry Commission to clear the the particular area of the forest. And those two towers are situated apart, and they're actually in direct line of sight with the GCHQ donuts back in Cheltenham.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah.
And that's why that particular location was chosen. However, it wasn't the first location chosen. The original one was over in Birdlip, which is another famous Cotswold tourist area.
Right.
But it's also famous for having a ginormous lattice tower on top of the hill there.
Right.
That dates back to World War II era, the RAF. But
So what does this tower do, Alan?
well,
What's it for?
the two towers together, they're used to test equipment that GCHQ are actually shipping out to armed forces overseas.
So what,
The precise details of that.
does it generate radio waves, or I presume it looks like it does? or-
It's
Is it like an EM testing thing, or you
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the precise details are classified, and by
Yeah.
definition, I don't know
Right.
the precise
Right.
details, but
Yeah.
you can surmise that it's some kind of telecoms
Right.
equipment.
You
It's,
maybe
it's
wouldn't
obviously
wanna-
not. It's not a laser weapon or anything like
Okay.
that. You can
But you
rest
maybe
assured.
wouldn't want to stand next to it for too long, perhaps.
Well, actually, the people who live in a cottage right in the forest
Yeah.
raised objections to the planning application,
Okay.
and they were placated by the people from the ministry who said that, look, we have to stick by the rigid telecoms guidelines, and
Okay.
you can rest assured it's quite safe.
Interesting. And this document here, Alan, what have we got here?
Well, the most recent exclusive I did for one of the major newspapers was the revelation that the new e-borders system, the electronic borders, running through a database system where everyone is checked going in and out of the country. A secret document, and by secret I mean it was commercially sensitive rather than classified.
Okay.
This document came up in a Google search, whereas it was really meant to be hidden behind a members only area in,
Right. Okay.
in an aircraft industry website.
Right.
And it actually revealed that the Queen herself is going to be subject to these e-borders checks.
All right.
So there's no more waving through Her Majesty
Right.
saying, no need for documents, madam. Yeah.
Okay. Right. And this next one?
Well, this next one is the e-borders database centre used to be centred at Heathrow Airport or on an industrial estate nearby. And then last year it was moved up to Manchester, next to Manchester Airport, although the precise location was kept secret. However, the e-borders' own official website gave tiny clues as to its real location.
Right.
And I used those tiny clues given in that picture there. They may seem
I see.
minute, but I used...
So from that picture, you could possibly tell where the thing is.
Well, I did, yeah.
You
I
could.
used my little tricks of the trade,
Right.
which I'm not revealing
There's
completely.
not a lot to go on, is there?
There's not a lot
It's,
to go
quite
on, and
impressed you can, work
that's
out
where my research magic came in. And I used that image alone,
Right. to
and
locate.
admittedly a bit of local knowledge, because
Right.
I live in the Manchester area,
Okay.
to actually reveal that
I'm impressed.
the building that they'd acquired for this
Yeah.
National Border Targeting Centre is in
And-
fact on an industrial estate near Manchester Airport.
And just to say that Alan has actually done a few little bits and pieces of research for things that I've been involved with in the past, but you know, we'll mention them at another time, perhaps,
Yeah,
when
when we've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And this next one, Alan, Maple House.
Well,
This
that is in
a
fact
document,
the
isn't it?
that's the document that I managed to find, again freely available on
Right.
the internet. I didn't have to hang around any dodgy pubs in
Right.
southeast London
Right.
to acquire that document.
Okay.
Although
You know,
it's
although-
always an option, but that was freely available on the internet, and it shows the particular building that I established was in fact the National Border Targeting Centre.
right.
The great irony, and there it is in its
Yeah.
full glory.
Okay.
Now the fact is that there's another great irony that I contacted a senior journalist at ITN, and he said, "Oh yeah, we know about that because we were invited by the Home Office down to bring our cameras to," and they were actually told to film here, do a piece to camera, but, keep it quiet, chaps.
Right. Okay. And we're going to talk after the break about a couple of stories that you've been involved with that hit the national press. I mean, just to touch basically on the secrecy element, just to reiterate, it's not. You seem to have collated this massive amount of information, which is not secret in itself, but you would be hard pressed to find that information in one place on the net. I think your site is probably the only repository of such a vast amount of this information.
Lots of visitors to the website, they sort of fall into two camps generally.
Right.
The people who get it and people who don't really get it.
Right.
The people who get it are actually entertained by the spectacle of what they find there, and they can learn from the research techniques that I describe, that involve fairly obvious things, but sort of subtle things like
IP addresses and things like that.
Yes, I even go into avenues like that. But other people expect the website to perhaps be a stark list of, in alphabetical order, of supposed secret military bases in Britain.
Okay.
Whereas what I've actually used the website to do is to actually illustrate research techniques that can be used by anyone, and actually promote myself as a technical researcher.
Okay then, Alan. Well, we're going to introduce the artist of the week. We'll come back and talk more in part 3. And this week, we're featuring Martin Stevenson and the Torags. Now, this song is all about the very strange remote village in northern Scotland called Barboraville.
Heed this advice for all that it's worth. Steer clear of the village on the Cromany Firth named Barboraville. Up the road from Jemimaville, round the corner from Little Tedville, through the square Windowville. Take a trip to Barboraville. Its restless presence you'll instill. There's a weird shine from the side of the road, and a peering llama from a field of gold in Barboraville. The abandoned cycle with its wheel spinning round, radiation stained, smoke on the ground. Get out your car or you'll be gone in a flash. There's a naked civil servant there looking for cash. Barboraville! Barboraville. Weird screams and then a yell in the middle of the night. And then the music stops and everything's still, then it starts again of its own free will. Barboraville, Barboraville. Hitchhiker's fingers on the windowsills in Barboraville, in Barboraville. Barboraville. There's people gone missing, but no one's been killed yet. In Barboraville, in Barboraville. The villagers look just like a Nedwood cast. Don't get out your car or you'll be gone in a flash, though. House with the gnomes lets out a strange kind of humming. Captain Boomcock sits there banging his drum in Barberville. Barberville. Weird screams and then a yell in the middle of the night. And then the music stops and everything's still, and it starts again of its own free will. Hitchhike his fingers on the windowsill in Barberville, in Barberville, in Barberville, Barberville. People going missing, but no one's been killed yet in Barberville, in Barberville. Heed this advice for all that it's worth. Steer clear of the village on the Cromedy Firth named Barberville.
The Rich Planet Starship is sponsored by Geared4.com online bikes, clothing and accessories.